Basically, I leaked my AWS credentials online, and someone scraped those credentials and started racking up a bill which went upwards of $800 within about an hour. If I hadn't caught this error, admittedly along with AWS's help, I would have been charged probably around $50,000 by the end of the weekend when it happened. But that doesn't really answer the question, does it? The fact that I was charged $800 in an instant brings up more questions like, who am I and why would I have $800 to risk it on an hourly basis? And why am I so careless with my money? Am I that kind of person? Well, the truth is I'm a nobody. I'm just an average programmer. I work a regular job, a programming job. So losing $800 would be super painful, much less $50,000 in a weekend. You can look me up. Look, I don't have a lot of followers. I don't have a huge company. I'm just an engineer. I'm sitting in the middle of the country, and I was playing around on a hobby project, right? So that should probably answer everything, right? Thanks for watching. Well, wait a minute. You're probably wondering why AWS would allow an individual to be charged up to $50,000 over a weekend, and what is it about their business model that would even allow for this amount of money to be charged on an individual account so easily? And is this a common story? Well, first off, yes, this is a pretty common story. There are lots of stories of individuals, small companies that have been charged upwards of $50,000 or perhaps more from AWS due to their own carelessness, like in my case, or due to perhaps the way they built their code or an unexpected number of users jumping onto their platform or whatever they were building. The way AWS works is that they give you access to pre-built bits of software, computing services, the kinds of things that people used to have to build and maintain themselves and took a lot of time and expense. AWS provides that to you on an hourly basis. So you can basically rent something that's already built and something that's already programmed that used to be very, very difficult to get access to. You can get access to it right away. It's very convenient. It's been a revolutionary thing in computing over the last, maybe since 2006 or 7 or 8 or so, depending on how you count it. So yeah, people obviously want to get access to AWS and Google Cloud and Azure and Microsoft Azure. They want to get access to this so they can be competitive and build cool new things. But that doesn't answer the question of why an individual or a small company should be billed $50,000, does it? Or why it even happens frequently. Why does it happen frequently? Why are there so many stories of this happening across the web? And it doesn't really answer that question. Well, to answer that, you have to go a little bit even deeper into a little bit darker territory. We have to start talking about the fact that these web service providers, there's really only a few of them that dominate the marketplace, and because what they build is very expensive to build, there's really only so many web service providers, similar to how there's really only so many train companies or utilities or media companies. So that basically means they're kind of justified in charging whatever they want, and they're the big kids on the block who have big bills to pay, and they need to have ways of keeping contributors like myself in line. And at the same time, they probably have to walk some kind of delicate little benevolent line so they don't anger people off so much that these people won't want to become future customers. But I mean, I guess that's kind of an oligopoly. Does that really mean that web service providers are they an oligopoly? Well, yeah, they have huge amounts of power and similar to media companies, and there's very smart economists, people who are much more experts than I am in this topic, who regularly refer to AWS, Azure, Google Cloud as oligopolies. And I'm not just talking about oligopolies in terms of social media and how we consume information. I think it's fairly well recognized that there's only so many web service companies, and so just like there's only so many social media companies, web services are an oligopoly as well. The software companies, these are some of the foundations of how everything gets built, and these web services are very dominant. So yeah, you might have heard that before about social media companies. Maybe you're a small entrepreneur, maybe you're a solo developer, a product manager, and you've heard this story and you might think to yourself, well, there's nothing I can do about it. The industry is that way for a good reason. This stuff is expensive to build, both from a natural economic perspective. There's natural oligopolies like utilities, but also maybe from a philosophical perspective. Without getting too much into politics, this is a capitalistic system that we live under, that we've inherited, and that's kind of just the way it is, right? Well, I guess I would take a different perspective. The whole purpose of this video, what I'd like to encourage you to think about is, I would take my story as a warning. I would say, if you're going to take on a software development project, if you want to build something, even if you're just playing around and prototyping, or if you're midway through the development process, you have a startup and it's growing, there's always a danger of a massive bill, and there's always a risk. And knowing that we live in an oligarchic system, that these supposedly benevolent actors exist, well, we should know that they might become not so benevolent when something changes that's not in their favor. Maybe the market conditions change. Maybe there's something you're developing that they don't like because they're also offering the same thing. In my case, for now, I can say I avoided a $50,000 bill. I got out of it, but the same might not be true for myself in the future or for you.